My name is Daniel, and I'm a 41-year-old mechanic living a life I'd describe as straightforward, honest, and hands-on. I fix things, that's my identity. From chainsaws and ATVs to lawnmowers and pressure washers, if it's got an engine or a blade, I've probably dismantled it and rebuilt it better than before. My garage isn't just a workspace. It's my sanctuary, my stronghold, my escape. The smell of motor oil and sawdust beats any fancy candle you'd find in a boutique. I live in a sturdy, modest house in a peaceful Texas suburb. Not too near the city, not too far from the world, just perfect. We've got oak trees, long driveways, and neighbors who usually keep to themselves. That is, until the HOA turned into a dystopian nightmare. But I'll get to that soon. The real gem of my property isn't the house, it's the garage. Detached, brick-built, solid as a vault, it's packed with power tools, shelves of neatly labeled parts, racks of wrenches and sockets, plus my prized welding setup and a custom workbench I crafted myself. Chainsaws hang like gallery pieces, axes are mounted like trophies, and I've got a drawer stuffed with so many screwdrivers it could double as a medieval armory if you squint. Everything's spotless, organized, and ready for action, whether a neighbor needs a hand or I've got a weekend project brewing. And then there's my wife, Erica. God bless her. She's a former Army MP with a sharpness that could cut glass. Quick-witted, eagle-eyed, and not someone you'd ever want to surprise. She loves me, loves our life, and has a thing for weapons. Not in a creepy survivalist way, but more like a hobbyist with a spark of mischief. You don't mess with a woman who sharpens knives while humming old battle tunes. Life was smooth until recently, quiet, predictable. I tinkered with engines, Erica read her thrillers, and sometimes she'd practice takedowns on the backyard scarecrow. Then the HOA elected a new president, Susan Mitchell, and the chaos began. It started with a letter, no friendly chat, no knock on the door, just a smug, overpriced envelope with the Pine Grove HOA logo plastered on it. I grabbed it from the mailbox one Monday morning, still in my plaid pajama pants, coffee in hand. I figured it was junk, maybe another memo about potlucks or lawn rules. I wish I'd been right. Inside was a typed warning, addressed coldly to resident at 4812 Oakwood Lane. No, dear Daniel. No warmth, just legal jargon and a list of supposed violations that sounded like fiction. They claimed my garage held items that could be interpreted as dangerous weapons, citing multiple resident complaints about visible threatening tools, including axes, chainsaws, machetes, long-handled blades, and welding gear. The kicker? Threats of daily fines and HOA intervention if I didn't comply within 10 days. I laughed at first, genuinely laughed. Then I reread it, and the ridiculousness turned into an insult. These weren't weapons, they were tools. I'm a mechanic, it's my job. That welding rig they flagged? OSHA certified and cleaner than most kitchens. The axes. Wall decor. The chainsaws? Drained, unplugged, safely stored. Nothing illegal about it. Owning tools is practically a Texas tradition. But this wasn't about tools, it was about power. And I knew who was pulling the strings. Susan Mitchell, the HOA's new overlord. She'd stopped me a week earlier, asking if I'd consider covering my garage windows so kids wouldn't be scared by the blades. I'd smiled, said I'd think about it, and moved on. Clearly, that wasn't enough. A few days later, another letter arrived, harsher this time. It cited more bylaws, claimed unsecured hazardous objects were visible from the street, all lies, and warned the HOA could coordinate removal with neighborhood safety enforcement if I didn't comply. They were threatening to invade my property and take my tools based on Susan's paranoia and a few busybodies who couldn't tell a wrench from a rifle. I wrote back, clear, firm, with a copy of my deed proving my property predates the HOA by 15 years. Their rules didn't apply to me. I dropped it in their mailbox and went back to fixing a lawnmower carburetor. But I had a hunch Susan wouldn't let it go. About a week later, I got a job call from a client in Amarillo, busted generator, a slew of lawn tractors, good pay. I'd be gone a couple of days. Erica would hold the fort, and honestly, she's tougher than me some days. I locked the garage, checked the camera feeds, and briefed her on the HOA nonsense. She grinned, gave a mock salute, and went back to polishing her favorite knife. Let him try, she said with a wink. I've been bored. It was late Thursday when things escalated. Erica later told me it started with a faint click at the garage lock around 2:30 a.m. Most wouldn't hear it. She did. Military habits die hard. She slid out of bed, checked the hall, and saw two figures in black on her phone's security feed, creeping toward the garage with gloves, flashlights, and duffels. HOA security, Susan's hired muscle, probably thinking we were away. They didn't know Erica. By the time they picked the lock and stepped inside, she'd laced up her boots. No guns, she's too smart for that, but she grabbed a blinding flashlight, a taser, pepper spray, and her sheathed knife. She clipped a GoPro to her shoulder and moved out like it was a mission. One guy was unhooking my favorite chainsaw, a sleek, tuned-up model. The other was stuffing wrenches and pliers into a bag. Erica watched for a moment, then hit them with the flashlight beam. "What the hell are you doing?" she said, voice low and icy. The taller one dropped the chainsaw, hands up. The shorter one tripped over a cord, crashing into some tires. She advanced, flashlight in one hand, taser in the other, barking orders that had them on the floor before they knew what hit them. In under a minute, she'd zip-tied their wrists and planted a foot on the duffel. "Stay still," she said coolly, checking the lock. "Daniel likes his tools. He wouldn't like you stealing them." One whimpered, the other looked defeated. Erica pulled up a stool, sat like a general, and waited for dawn. I rolled in at 7 a.m., spotting police cruisers and a gawking crowd. Erica sat on her stool, coffee in hand, shotgun across her lap, the duffel spilling tools beside her. Two guys in black polos sat zip-tied on the concrete, one trembling, the other blank-faced. "Morning, babe," she said. "Want coffee?" I stared, taking it in. She nodded at the pair. "Susan's goons broke in at 2:30. Thought they'd grab your dangerous stuff." I disagreed. A cop approached, young, impressed. "You Daniel Carter? Your wife caught these two." HOA security, sent by Susan Mitchell to seize hazardous materials, tools, chainsaws, a welding helmet. I rubbed my face. This was insane. Then Susan's Lexus screeched up, tearing my lawn. She stormed out in a robe, furious. "Officers, this is a mistake. I authorized this for safety. That garage is a death trap." Erica tapped her GoPro. "I've got the break-in on tape, including them saying you sent them." Susan faltered. "We're the HOA. We have authority." An older cop cut in. "No, ma'am. This is trespassing, burglary, conspiracy. You don't get to break into homes." As Susan ranted, they cuffed her goons. She melted down, claiming I was the problem, but the evidence, video, confessions, tools, buried her. Neighbors watched, and one, Tom, played the footage aloud. Down on the ground, Susan's mutts. "I've got a stun gun and a free evening." The crowd laughed. Susan was done. Days later, another letter hit every mailbox, calling me a tool hoarder and Erica militarized. It backfired. Neighbors rallied, flooding the HOA with complaints. At an emergency meeting, Susan was ousted, the board apologized, and the room cheered us. I added a sign to my garage, warning, protected by wife, weapons, and righteous fury. No HOAs allowed. It's a local hit now. Susan. She fled to Nevada, lawsuit in tatters. Me? I'm back to fixing engines, smiling at Erica, my Real security system.